Hey, welcome to another edition of Tech Talk Tuesday. I won't even make the you know what? I am. It might be TED Talk Tuesday, and it might be
Here we go.
Twister Tuesday. I don't know what it is. Ashley's not even here to give me a dirty look about it, but that's what we're doing. Hey, thanks for making it this far into December. 2020 is almost over. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. Our first story is yours, Neal, actually, and it is Google Stadia.
Yeah. So we've been talking up Google Stadia, it feels like, for the last couple weeks. But another huge thing that they just added is YouTube live streaming. This is something that Google promised, like when they first launched and announced Google Stadia, is integration with YouTube live stream. And so I think it's been about a year now, and it's just now making it, but it is here. So this is an easy way for Stadia users to pop up a stream. You'll still have to set it up pretty similarly to how you would on YouTube, where you need to like indicate what your target audience is, like is it an explicit stream, things like that. So I mean, this is really, really cool. Again, I mean, they just continue to add things that continue to pull me in for sure. And I mean, Cyberpunk, what is that? 2077 just came out, and it's on Stadia. Which
is it really?
Yeah. So you can start playing it on Thursday. Yeah. So, I mean, the article even says, given the difficulty in finding the next gen consoles and GPUs, Stadia could definitely be a great option to play this really well reviewed game that a lot of people have been waiting for since it's been delayed a couple times. So
yeah, that's pretty wild, dude. First of all, I didn't realize that 2070. I mean, honestly, I just lost track of it after all the delays and everything, and that's not really meant to be a heavy knock, even though.
I'd rather them delay it than rush out a game that's completely broken, though. So.
Yes, do not mess Keanu up. You mess with John Wick. We've seen what happens if you screw with John Wick.
That's right. Even Neo going farther.
Even Neo. That's right. No, that's super awesome. I just was looking at that controller here. I'll bring up that shot again. And it's interesting because you can kind of see it's got like the built-in holder and everything. I will say that's one of my gripes about the Luna, right? Like it's a controller, but look, there's nothing. So if you do want to go mobile, and you do, there's no like built-in thing for it. Now I'm sure, much like this, it looks like there's a clip or something that goes on the controller to enable this. I'm sure I can find something, but why not just include that? It's a cheap piece of plastic and it costs you, a nickel. And I'll give you the nickel, just like include it in the price, and, like roll the thing with it. But I don't know. That's my little gripe, but like that's so cool. It's impressive to see the Google Stadia and like all these kind of like streaming game services like taking off and like really kind of fulfilling their promises. I think that's huge.
Yeah, I think this is Stadia really kind of pulling ahead too, for me. I mean, Amazon's got a lot of catching up to do here, and I know Google had a little bit of a jump start on them, but I mean, this is a pretty big jump for them. It's coming at a great time right around the holidays. So yeah, I mean, it's great. They also just rolled it out in 8 new countries as well. A lot of European countries just got Stadia. So I mean, Google's planning and executing very, very well right now with Stadia. So
nice. Yeah, it's definitely worth. I should check that out too. Maybe we do a side-by-side Stadia and Luna, just kind of pros and cons, like a separate piece, right?
Yeah.
So look for that some year. At the rate in which I put together the logos and stuff like that, we'll see if it's 2022. Like, well, kind of like when's so on to, I guess, a little bit more. No, not I guess, but definitely a lot more depressing news. This is interesting. The Kazakhstan government, made famous by Borat. Just kidding. But I mean, that's where he said he was from. this is an interesting story from ZDNet. I actually found it via Slashdot originally, but I wanted to pull like the actual original reporting on it. That they're intercepting HTTPS traffic within the capital. Okay, what does that really mean, and how are they accomplishing that? So what they're doing is they're basically shutting down all HTTPS traffic that is flowing otherwise, and you have to download. Like basically, if you try to pull up, let's say Google, right? You were instead redirected to a site that says, "Here's our digital certificate. You have to install this." And if you don't, you're never getting to where you want to go. So, of course, you install it. Well, what this opens up is this kind of what's normally called a man-in-the-middle attack. In this case, it's still an attack, if you ask me, but it's it's the government, right, kind of doing this. And so they are able then, you normally think HTTPS, right? Everybody says, always make sure you have an HTTPS, make sure you have the little lock, right, up in your browser. You'll still have that lock. You'll still have that guise of security, but they're able to, on the fly, decrypt your traffic, right? So this is really just another way of them kind of inserting themselves. And here's what I find funny, Neal. You might have seen this earlier, but this is actually the third time that they've tried to do this. So it'll be interesting to see if the same thing happens again. Both prior times, companies like Google and Microsoft invalidated their digital certificate, therefore rendering it entirely useless, right, at the root. And so then they had to pull it and say, okay, you can have your interwebs back. But I don't know. I mean, they're definitely seem to be focused on getting this done. So I don't know. Maybe this is the time.
Yeah, I do find it funny that they are calling it a training exercise.
Oh.
Yeah, I just have a hard time believing that, one. And two, when does the training exercise end? Because there has no beneficial end date stated either. I also think it's interesting that they're using cyber attacks targeting like their segment of internet, saying that those attacks have grown over 2 times since the start of COVID, which is interesting in that, like, okay, why? There's something interesting going on there in my mind. But yeah, this is like, I really just bet that people just are, the companies that are investigating are just going to shut this down again. And yeah, I mean, it's just kind of totally against what the internet is supposed to be.
Right.
And so it's just like, when are we going to just like stop letting like even like state actors just like kind of insert themselves into this like process, for lack of a better word, to mess it up for everyone, and to make it so we can't exchange information freely and things like that without fear of repercussions like that. I mean, that's what you're leaning toward. Like that's the slippery slope that you're falling down if you start doing this. So yeah, I mean, it sounds bad, and it's in reality probably even worse.
I like your assessment of what you just said. Like that is perfect. I knew that you in particular would probably be interested in this. Thankfully, we're not residents of Kazakhstan, and I don't think, are we doing that trip next year? No. So I guess we're okay, but it also, you don't want to be like on the boat of sucks to be you and just kind of shrug, because you're right. I think and I can't remember what the phrase is, but right, like the more people that do something, it normalizes it, right? Yep. So it's just like, you're right. You get a couple state actors doing it, and then it's like, well, I mean, they're doing okay. And
that's what's happened with our data, like our private data. It's the exact same. It's not. I don't believe that in this case, this is a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Like to most people, it's a bigger deal than like companies collecting data on you and then selling it. But it's exactly what's happened there, where early on it became normalized, and now no one thinks twice about the way that they browse online and the different companies that are collecting and then selling your data for massive profits.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. back to more chipper news, I guess. This involves the Elder Scrolls, which I'm always excited to hear a little bit more about.
Yeah, so I found this really interesting, one, because I really like the Elder Scrolls franchise and just like the whole universe that they've created there. And two, it's something that Matt and I really enjoy, our text adventures and like kind of choose your own text adventures. And so Bethesda just released a new DLC for Elder Scrolls Online, which is their MMO set in their universe. And so with that, they also released like choose your own adventure, text adventure on Twitter, where you have branching decisions that you can make, and then from there, like you can die and have to start over. You can like finish things, but like it's just a really cool idea that I hadn't ever seen executed. Or at least executed well. And so, yeah, I think that this is really cool. I think it's something that I'll probably go check out probably tonight and just kind of like go through it and see what's up. But yeah, I mean, I love just different ways of telling stories. And this is just a really interesting one to use a social media platform to just, kind of push out a story or just like whatever little adventure that they have put together for you. That doesn't have to take place in anything but like your hand, like with your phone. So I think it's really cool.
That's really cool. We've kicked around the idea, you and I, of something like this before. Like, how do you do something that's kind of like kind of a self-sustaining and a little bit lighthearted, but allows kind of like that old school feel on a more modern platform. So I will be doing this tonight. Like I will be on Twitter seeing what I can do. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. And I like that it looks like there's some prizes kind of attached to it too. So it's worth it, right?
Yeah. I think one thing that like Elder Scrolls Online just suffered from was like such a bad release. Like it had such a poor release and you had to pay monthly for a while. And it really irked their users or anyone that really wanted to kind of get into it, in that like you had to pay like the monthly fee and then you had to buy the game on top of that as well. And so it was like really salty to get into, but from what I can tell and from what I've played, not super recently, but fairly recently, like the game's a really good game. Like they've done a really good job maintaining it and adding DLC and continuing that storyline and adding storylines to it. Like it's a really good game, and I think it's on sale, or at least the current full
standard edition,
right now. So
yeah.
If you're looking for something to dump some hours into over the holidays, I would definitely give this a shot, particularly if you love like fantasy type games and RPGs. So
that's right. Use our code and you can get up to 60% off the standard edition. Our code is, just Google it. Everyone gets 60% off right now, the standard edition. So yeah.
One day.
Well, in maybe less exciting news, the long rumored AirPods Max, which I swear is a really terrible misnomer, has officially launched. And so here, let's scroll. Let's take a look at these beasts. Okay, yeah. So they're over the ear. And they're wireless, of course, and so so it's interesting that these came out without a lot of fanfare, even though I want to say for like 2 years we've been hearing about these mystical AirPod Max things without the name, but just the fact that there was going to be basically a Apple equivalent of the Beats over the ear stuff, right? And here it is. I mean, I do like some of the key things that are in here if you can read it. So it still uses Apple's H1 chip, like of course they're not going to ditch their brand new kind of AirPod technology, but I like that it does have obviously the active noise cancellation, spatial audio, and transparency mode. It should probably wash your dishes because the price point on this thing is over $500.
Can you scroll down and show them what the case looks like as well? Like, because it is just ridiculous. Like, look at that thing.
There is the AirPod Max bra that this fits into.
Like, what were they thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it legit like if I took this little like strappy piece off and maybe replaced it with a really thin bow strap here, you would go, oh, it's just a really awkward, futuristic looking bikini. Like that's like just a really, yeah.
Like, I just like, how does that make it through marketing and design? Like, I just don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
that looks so ugly and so weird. Like, whatever.
Yeah,
like for somebody, for like a company that prides themselves on how sleek and everything, like all their products look, and like this is just crazy to me that they came up with this. Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm just zooming in on
I just don't get it.
the AirPod Max bra. Like this is, I don't know. Yeah, it definitely seems like whoever their lead designer was has either spent too much or not enough time with their mom. Like it just, like this is really like super weird for me. I'm so glad you picked up on that too, Neal, because when I saw it, I thought, wait, no, it's December. It's not April Fool's. So I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, for how expensive they are, there's no way I'm even coming anywhere near these things. But I mean, they look like Apple. Like the headphones themselves look like Apple. Like very
digital crown. So they got the digital crown on it, right, for navigating and doing stuff, just like kind of like the Apple Watch, right?
Yeah.
Which I'll reserve, right? Because when I first heard about the digital crown thing, I thought, and then when I used it on the watch, I thought, oh, okay, I get it. Like this actually is a good interface. Is that a good interface on headphones? I don't know. I guess little toggle switches and stuff have been pretty standard on them. So, okay. But yeah, for $549, I don't care if it does come in a pink or apple green color in addition to the usual slate of colors. No.
I mean, and it's like 20 hours of audio talk time. Like that's up to obviously like noise canceling. I don't know, man. Like I'm definitely not who they're trying to sell these things to, obviously, because these don't even remotely interest me. Particularly for the price point, right? Like yes. I have a hard time buying like the AirPods right now, like because like spending like over $150 on like AirPods is ridiculous.
It seems silly, right?
Yeah, and so I mean, what you're like at least tripling that with these over-the-ear headphones that I could get like some decent ones for that are probably better audio quality, like for way less than this. Like it's just, I mean, you're definitely paying for the brand here. Like, not saying that they aren't going to be great headphones because they better be for the price, but these things are just not going to be anywhere near my house.
Yeah, so I'm excited to kind of hear and look through actual reviews of these. I think it's interesting. There's some great electronics and stuff in it, and the actual audio drivers. There's a quote in here that they have a harmonic distortion of less than 1%. Again, I don't know. Is that good? Like I don't, I'm not an audiophile, and really neither are you, in the sense that we would know down to that spec what you would want. So you're right. These aren't marketed to us, but just not going to be on our Christmas wish list. Maybe next year. I don't know. But yeah, we'll get the V1. We can afford the V1 when the V2 or 3 comes out, right?
Maybe.
Used on Facebook Marketplace, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the only way.
Well, I think that's everything we got today.
Yeah, so that's all we have for today. Thank you guys for joining us on this edition of Tech Talk Tuesday. If you want to read up on anything that Matt and I talked about today, you can find that in the description below. And while you're there, go ahead and give us a subscribe or a follow. That way you don't miss any future editions of Tech Talk Tuesday. We go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to not see Matt live, you can watch the videos afterwards. Or, oh God, I am not Matt.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
So much cooler.
Oh, yeah, I know. Now you know what it feels like. But if you have any questions that you want Matt and I to answer either on stream or offline, go ahead and hit us up on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are below. Matt's is the Matt Ray, and mine is at Neal Tardy. And we'll be happy to answer any of those questions that you have tech related. That way, you can feel confident if you're buying something or if you just have a question in general. Yeah. So
I'm not opposed to life advice.
Yeah, you may not like what you hear from Matt, but he will give it to you. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next Tuesday.